is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
No.
Y'all,
This
just
is
stop.
a sham.
It's finally here. Drum roll.
Welcome to DBL. Happy Monday, everybody. Woo! Things are all right. Me and Tori are already fighting. Stephanie Jones is in the house. How you feeling, Steph?
I'm all right, especially with my little clap welcome from Tori.
Did you hear what she said about, I don't want to say the specific airline, but come on.
No, you should say, because it's quite shameful. Although I love you.
I'm excited.
We'll bring it up later. That's our second story.
Second story.
Let's kick it off with some good news. Lionel Richie's daughter, Sophia, got married over the weekend in the south of France in a very lavish ceremony. So Lionel was seen outside the ceremony with Sophia before walking her down the aisle to her British music executive groom. Oh, that's so cute.
Isn't
That's a
that
great picture. Sophia's sister Nicole helped her get ready and wrote, "I love you more than anything" on Instagram. Sophia, who is 24, wore 3 different custom Chanel dresses. This one for the ceremony, one for the rehearsal dinner, and then a mini dress and veil
that is, like,
for
really
the reception. She's looking great. And judging by this video of Sophia dancing, it looks like the bride had a great time. Where was your invite, Erica? You and Lionel have become very close.
I know. Lionel.
Lionel.
Lionel. Child, you know I love me some Lionel.
I do too.
That's
I do
like
too.
my second papa.
Were you verklempt at this? This is a big deal.
No, it is a big deal. First of all, their family, like Lionel Richie is one of the most beautiful humans I have ever encountered in my life. And I think that his family, like, weddings are beautiful, and obviously it's a time for everybody to get together and celebrate something that they believe in.
Yeah.
So I loved it. I mean, what's not to love?
And talk about Chanel. I thought she nailed each one.
Oh, how could you
Each
not?
one.
I mean, each one of those dresses, she looks absolutely spectacular. The mini dress for me, with the traditional Chanel carnelian on the front, that was just beautiful. But obviously, when she walked down the aisle in that, how fabulous.
Yeah.
I mean, she is the epitome of beauty and grace there, isn't she? Gorgeous, traditional, classic, stylish.
Is there anything to be said that, you know what, we're spending all this money, 50% chance that it's not going to last?
Well,
What? I don't want to ruin the party, but I'm just saying.
I mean, like, statistics are statistics, let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she's 24. So
it's probably
even more so.
I mean, it's a risk. Like, as somebody who has been divorced, like, you really have to be very aware of who you are now and who you're planning to be, and if those things are going to jive, because if they're not, it's going to be a recipe for disaster.
All right, see, we're keeping it real. That's all, keeping it real.
Fair,
but we
fair.
wish them the best. Okay, so Todd and Julie Chrisley's daughter, Savannah, got kicked off a Southwest Airlines flight. This is why we were talking about airlines earlier. It all started when the agent asked Savannah to check her carry-on bag at the gate. Let's watch.
So I went to board my flight to get on, and he told me that I had to check my bag. I was like, okay, if you wouldn't mind, I'm gonna take my bag on the flight, see if I can't make it fit, and if not, I'll check it. His exact words were, no, that's not happening. I was like, okay, well, let's go ahead and put a tag on it in case I have to check it, but I would love to see if there's any room for it. And he goes, you're being an unruly passenger. I told the Southwest attendant that there was no need for him to be a today, and then he threw me off the flight and said I would not be flying.
Oh, God.
All right, so Southwest Airlines side, because there's two sides to every story, okay? There's two sides to every story. Savannah arrived to the gate late and reportedly insulted an employee after being asked to check her bag. Southwest confirmed she was denied boarding and booked on a later flight that day. Listen, I've been late to flights before too. I think it's pretty standard that they're like, listen, there's no more room in overhead. You got to check your bag. I'm happy just to get on the plane. This seems, I hate using this word, a little entitled from where I stand.
I can see how it feels that way, and I'm going to probably shock you. I'm not so sure that she was completely out of line, and this is the reason why. When my sister came with me to LA, she flew Southwest, and she doesn't normally fly Southwest, but she was like, that's just the way it was. When she got to the airport, she was asked, or a agent came up to her and said, we're gonna need to check your bag. And so she was like, oh, am I too late? And the lady was like, no, you just need to check your bag. And so she turned around and she was like, well, does everyone have to check their bags? And she's like, I'm only asking because I'm a digital nomad, which means every single thing I own
is in this bag.
Is in this bag.
Right.
And so the woman was like, no, you need to check your bag. So then she started going down the actual tarmac or whatever, and she looked back, and everyone, like for 15, 16 people behind her, had a bag. And so she asked again, like, is there any way that I can keep my bag? Because y'all have some issues with losing bags, and I can't not have this bag.
Yes, they do. Yeah, very good point.
So I don't know if she's 1,000,000% in the wrong,
All right,
although it does.
She kind of flipped me a little bit too, because
Fair.
once you start a fight with like that gate agent or someone in particular, they're going to flex their muscle that they have. So maybe Erica has a point here.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely right. I'm trying to be more discerning and flexible in thought. So I hear that. I also don't think she said, if you don't mind, can I go inside and look for space? In my mind, 99% of the time probably didn't use that tone. I don't know, but the Chrisley seemed like a very
Title.
Yeah,
very privileged.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I mean,
right.
I don't think that Erica's sister Ebony would have reacted in the same way that this girl did and whip out a phone, go straight on social media. Well, Southwest, oh my God, no. I mean, come on, there's a way of handling it. And I just think you can tell by the way she's talking and the privilege and how she thinks she's coming across, like as if she posts that, then all of a sudden what's she going to get? Southwest is going to release an apology and say they're so sorry. She's trying to look like the victim. No, you were late. And no, you were rude to the person on the front desk, and that's it.
Yeah, the late part gets me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was just offering the other side.
It's important to hear that.
However, I do find it funny that we talking about this girl being privileged, and as we know, her entire life was a fraud.
Yeah, it was.
Literally.
It was a fake. It was a faux privilege. It was.
But not in her mind.
Exactly. She grew up in that reality.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a different reality because we all know the truth, and so do the banks.
And the jails.
Ooh, Erica taking the other side and then breaking it down.
Flexibility of thought.
I like it. I do like it. I do like it. All right, so Emily Ratajkowski is addressing that kiss with Harry Styles. You remember what we're talking about. In a video obtained by Daily Mail, Emily and Harry were spotted making out last month in Japan. In an interview with Spanish Vogue, Emily said all the attention on the video was, quote, very strange. She said it was bizarre. She should have gave this interview to Harper's Bazaar and then said it was bizarre.
Good one.
It's Monday.
Okay.
You know what I mean? She said it was bizarre to have the world comment on her kiss with Harry and said the invasion of private aspects of her life is very hard for her. She added that she has been in 2 long-term relationships over the past 7 years, so it's been a long time since she had been in a dating stage. How long is this script? She made out with somebody. Emily also said there is no bad blood between Harry and her ex, Olivia Wilde. I don't know if I believe that
I don't
last
believe
part.
that. I don't.
You're making out with someone's ex, there's got to be a little riff in there.
I think it's just solely that's because they're both in the public eye, and that's it. You know, that doesn't mean they're best friends. It doesn't mean that she owes Olivia anything. Obviously, she probably feels bad that it's getting brought through all like the press and like people like us are talking about it. But I mean, if she's single, he's single, and she has no loyalty to Olivia, why not? But I don't believe her when she's like, oh, I don't know why everyone's talking about it.
That's where I am.
Because in that video, they're clearly in a very open public space, and that camera that would have been filming that, I don't think would have been super secretive. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. And she's one of the most famous women on the planet. Harry Styles is definitely up there. They're hot property. Like, come on. People are gonna gossip.
I have a hard time with very, very famous people saying they didn't have an expectation of their privacy being looked at. You clearly did. That's why you're in that, literally in that business. Is that fair? Maybe not, but don't be surprised by that reaction.
Yeah, I was making out in a parking lot. I'm surprised they got that picture.
It's Harry Styles.
I was being sarcastic. The whole studio was like quiet.
No, I just think when people are famous, especially famous for some skill set that they have, then of course we know that there's tabloids and people have an interest of like this knowledge of your lives. But I don't think the expectation should automatically be that every single part of your life is up for
I don't think every single part, but even defamation is harder for someone public because they have such an expectation.
But you're talking about somebody making out with her boyfriend. It's like,
but but it was just.
I think it's fair for her to say that. Like, I'm just living my life. Every time I go outside, it's a story. I think it's weird because maybe she thinks she's super basic.
Yeah.
A lot of people do who are extraordinary people.
Well, it wasn't her boyfriend, it was her friend's boyfriend.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up on DBL,
Wild.
celebrities are speaking out about drag show bans. Which stars are taking a stance? And we interview a nutritionist who breaks down which viral TikTok diet trends we shouldn't be wasting our time on.
DBL, this show is amazing.
There's a lot going on down here.
I would have been part of the Mile High Club.
Yeah.
So on point.
But I'm gonna have a conversation about what's happening now.
You have one of those.
Yeah, so we were just talking about Emily Ratajkowski and
There's one on here, but it's all done.
her, I guess, confusion as to why people are so interested in her, which honestly I understand a bit because I do think that
Yeah, she
at
is.
this point,
Everything she does is like
right,
in the tabloids now.
and it's like if you are someone who has a dream and has a goal and you become famous for that, then likely there's been more times in your life that you've been grinding out to get to where you are than where you are currently, if that makes sense. So there's almost like this disconnect between who you are as a person and the expectations that everyone has of you and thinks about you. Like there's more times in your life where no one thought about you or who knew who you were than there are people who are truly invested in you. And I think that's something that people don't talk about a lot.
That's a fair point.
So it feels like, oh, you're famous, so this is the way. But it's like, maybe you've only been famous for 6 months or a year, and you're used to kind of like this
Not
life.
having this thing
Right.
before.
So it's like, I don't think that everyone who's famous is actively looking to have their entire life.
No.
Yes, I agree with you. However,
Thank you, buddy. Yeah,
kissing Harry
perfect.
Styles in the middle of Tokyo in a
I think
park,
like, when he's doing a world tour, he's in Tokyo, there's going to be press outside
Following him,
waiting
right,
for him to leave the building. Like there will be groupies at the backstage door, and then, you know, it's going to happen. If you want it to be private, leave separately, meet at a hotel.
Ratajkowski, man,
I
she
think-
has made a name for herself.
I mean, I think she's amazing.
I think
like
so
her
too.
podcast.
Well, I
think
think
she's really like,
and she and
fun, she's
Olivia Wilde
intelligent.
got together for the Me Too movement, and a lot of marches they knew each other in that way. So I would feel like
Do you feel like that she owes Olivia more?
yeah, but then again, does Olivia owe
I was going to ask you about that.
her?
Welcome back. Celebrities are speaking out against states like Tennessee that recently passed laws banning drag shows. So first up, Kevin Bacon and Kira Sedgwick have gone viral dancing the Taylor Swift song Karma. In the caption, Kevin wrote, "Drag bans are bad karma. Right now, drag performers and the LGBTQIA+ community need our help." Kevin and Kira wore matching t-shirts that say drag is an art and drag is a right. Meantime, on Friday, Lizzo had a show in Knoxville and brought out a group of drag queens to join her on stage and explain why. Let's take a look.
In light of recent and tragic events and current events, I was told by people on the internet, cancel your shows in Tennessee, don't go to Tennessee. And we don't have to go there personally. Their reason was valid. But why would I not come to the people who need to hear this message the most?
So she was definitely proving a point there, specifically in Tennessee.
Yeah, she gets it. She understands what she's doing. Lizzo completely gets it. Her finger's on the pulse, and she did this as a form of a protest. She could get in trouble. The drag queens that she brought out could get in trouble. In Tennessee, it's banned if there's children present or if you're on public property. And this was a staged, thought-out, well-provoking, and got a lot of eyeballs on this Tennessee drag. I don't know if before this, people knew drag was banned in Tennessee as much as now.
Right. Well, also, you have to acknowledge that the other side who is trying to ban this is being very intentional as well. Not only are we conflating the idea of drag performers with some degree of pedophilia
or pornography,
like
right,
the safety of our children, but we're also ensuring that drag performers who the majority pay for their own everything. They do not have security. Like, it is a very specific, like, well, there are securities at bars, but like, it's a safety issue. So if you make this demographic of people appear to be predatory and the targets, then there will be more actions, violent actions against them. And that's what this has been about from the beginning. It's about taking the humanity out of the LGBTQIA plus demographic so that they are easier targets, because no one has any value if you're considered chattel. And so essentially we're looking at it like that.
Wow.
But I think what Lizzo did was, it's a step, and I think we can all make a step.
I agree with what Erica's saying. I mean, all you have to do is look at what happened at literally a nightclub here in Colorado, and it's literally will spread even more hate, and the people that are, I mean, our country is so diverse, it's so divided, and things like this just make it so much worse. But I'm so proud of Lizzo for standing up for what she believes in, for being a support to the community, because that's what we need to see. We need people that have got a big name that will put their career, their life, possibly getting in trouble with the law, on the line in a public format to help save drag artists and people within the community, because if not them, who will?
Right.
Because, you know, regular people, we can say things, we can put things on Instagram, you know, we can say sign this petition, we can be supportive in that manner, but it takes big names and big faces that are willing to do that, because she could get in serious trouble with the law. You know, she's broken the law in Tennessee. And like she said, when she said, oh, you know, people said I shouldn't come here, the audience sat there and like some were booing, obviously against, you know, the law that had passed. But, you know, she has to do it. And like it's same with Beyonce, people said you shouldn't go to Dubai because they won't allow, you know, gay rights in Dubai. And she was like, no, I need to go, because then guess what? It gives a chance for people to talk about it. It gives us a chance to talk about it, raise awareness. Yeah. So I'm proud of Lizzo. I think she did fantastic. I just really hope there's no repercussions.
Yeah. I thought it was ironic too, Kevin Bacon, who started Footloose. We talked about it in the meeting. Yeah. Banning, you know, dancing into town. I think there was some play on that. In
He represents that for sure.
For sure.
I love them.
Coming up on DBL, our interview with Christina Jordan, a nutritionist who lost 130 pounds. She's giving us her take on trendy diets.
Alfalfa is a popular feed for livestock, like cows. It's also one of the most water-intensive crops to grow, which is why Saudi Arabia, home to the world's largest desert, banned growing it domestically. One verified viewer asked us whether, to meet demand, Saudi Arabia is using water resources in drought-stricken Arizona and California to grow it. Other people on social media claim the alfalfa is then shipped overseas.
They use this alfalfa to feed their cattle.
So, let's verify. Does a Saudi Arabian company use water from Arizona and California to grow crops? These are our sources. In 2014, the Saudi Arabian company Al-Mari purchased about 16 square miles of land 2 hours west of Phoenix. The property comes with unrestricted access to groundwater under Arizona law.
This was appealing to the Saudis as well, to go exactly there, where they're not being charged for the water they extract because there's no measuring of it.
Al-Mari says it uses the land to grow alfalfa hay for cows in Saudi Arabia. In 2016, the company expanded operations, buying an additional 2 square miles in California near the Arizona border. So, yes, a Saudi Arabian company does use water from Arizona and California to grow alfalfa, and there's nothing illegal about it. The USDA estimates foreign investors have a stake in about 5% of the nation's agricultural land. Similarly, many American agriculture companies invest in farms in other countries to grow produce, like Mexico, where tomatoes, berries, and avocados are grown for the U.S. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Let's make ginger shots.
First, I start off the day with 3 pounds of ground beef and a stick of butter.
Let's make nature cereal, baby. This really tastes so good.
Add 1 tablespoon of coffee. Squeeze in half a lemon.
Welcome back. Those were some weird and extreme diets that are trending online right now. Earlier, we chatted with a certified master nutritionist to see if these diets are a good idea to try ourselves. Check it out.
Please welcome to the show, Christina Jordan.
Thank you so
much. Excited to be here, you guys.
Woohoo!
Do you think following a diet is ever a healthy option? And were you on one when you lost your 130 pounds?
I get asked that constantly because everyone wants to know, how did you lose the weight? And I did not follow a particular diet. What I did is I learned how to eat healthy. So I'm not a huge fan of any of these fad diets. There's a few things on the TikTok that are beneficial and motivating and can inspire you to get into the kitchen, but a lot of them are just downright kind of crazy.
I do want to know this. There are two drink trends that are going viral.
Yes.
Ginger shots in the morning and coffee with lemon. Now, what would these even help with, and do you think they work?
Okay, so one I like, one I really hate. And let's just say the one I don't like first. The one I don't like is the coffee with lemon.
Yeah.
I think you ruin your favorite cup of drink, you know. I think you just ruin it. And those two are contradicting. They're both acidic, so they become extremely acidic in the stomach. So if you want heartburn all day, go for it. And if you want to ruin your coffee, go for it. I personally enjoy my morning coffee, and I would never, ever put lemon in my coffee, ever. Instead, have your coffee and then have a lemon water, and that's a much better choice. The ginger shots, I'm cool with that. I like the ginger shots. The ginger shots are not too bad. They're extremely helpful if you have nausea or if you have stomach issues or morning sickness. Sometimes the flavor is really, really intense, and the flavor itself could make you feel nauseous. So if that is you and you're sensitive, maybe have a ginger tea instead. Or if you're hardcore and you can handle just about anything, go for the shot.
Throw a little cayenne in there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Throw it
Rev up the metabolism.
He's spicy. I can't handle that. That's a little intense for me.
All right, let me ask you guys this. It's disgusting, but maybe I'm wrong. It's called nature's cereal. All right, let me ask you this. It's a bowl of fruit. It's topped with coconut water and ice cubes. What do you think of this trend? Is this actually like quite good? Because
that bad, Tori.
I think it's weird to have water in your cereal.
Oh, see, those are good ice cubes.
Water. Oh, gross.
Okay, so the TikTok, these TikTok influencers, they're all about aesthetics. And I really think that's why they're choosing this, is because fruit is pretty. Fruit is like art on a plate. So you see a lot of people that are pretending to be vegan or just doing all fruit because it's pretty, and honestly, as a nutritionist, I have a lot of people that come in because it is so trending to just do all fruit meals, and they want to know why they're gaining weight. Well, the studies show that if you're after the age of 30, we cannot just hit all carbohydrate like that. It'll cause insulin resistance. It'll spike our insulin. And I have no issue if you want to have fruit in the morning. The nature's cereal is completely deficient of all the other macronutrients. So if you want to do that, which I say it's kind of gross.
Right.
I agree. I'd rather just have a coconut water on the side and then have my fresh fruit and berries. But you got to pair it with some protein. Otherwise, you're going to be hungry right away. You're probably going to see the scale go up a little bit. And you really need to make sure you're getting all the macronutrients. So just add like a Greek yogurt or some scrambled eggs with that. And you can make it work, but not alone, especially if weight loss is your goal.
Smart, very smart.
I know. Okay, so Christina, thank you for putting up with all of us.
Yeah, geez.
We always want you to come back. You're always a wealth of information. Thank you for joining us. DBL Nation.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, and you can learn more about Christina and her company at fitbodyweightloss.com. Thanks again. We'll be right back.
Let's verify. Can breastfeeding lower a woman's risk for breast cancer? Our sources include Dr. Karen Knutson, the head of the American Cancer Society, nurse practitioner Lori Plummer with the Helen Carlos High Risk Breast Clinic at Piedmont Hospital, and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Breastfeeding does, in fact, lower breast cancer risk.
Turns out there is a lot of research to back up how breastfeeding can reduce a woman's risk for certain types of cancers, including breast cancer. And while there's no absolute time period for how long you must breastfeed to get the benefit, experts say the longer the time, the greater the protection.
There's been a number of studies that have shown for every 12 months a woman breastfeeds, she can lower her risk of breast cancer by 4%.
That can mean 12 consecutive months of breastfeeding with one child, or over several children. The benefit even more significant in some of the more aggressive types of breast cancer.
Some studies have shown up to a 20% risk reduction for these aggressive estrogen receptor negative breast cancers, including triple negative breast cancer.
Researchers believe it comes down to the hormonal changes happening with lactation. Ultimately, that process reduces the woman's lifetime exposure to certain hormones, which are linked to an increased risk of breast and ovarian cancer. The loss of breast tissue when breastfeeding could also play a role.
Losing some cells during that process, which may have started on their journey toward becoming cancerous, may be lost in that process. So you're essentially losing precancerous cells during that time.
So yes, it's true. Breastfeeding not only benefits babies, it also can lower a woman's breast cancer risk. And the longer you breastfeed, the more protection you potentially gain.
This Friday on DBL, a jaw-dropping episode celebrating comeback stories that will leave you inspired and amazed, from a convicted man serving a life sentence in prison to becoming a Harvard professor, and a remarkable story of a woman who turns a near-fatal accident into success as a Silicon Valley CEO. They will join us live, plus other incredible stories of resilience and triumph you have to see to believe. This Friday, only on DBL.
Narcan, the life-saving drug that reverses the effects of an opioid overdose, is top of mind for many these days. The FDA approved it for over-the-counter use a few weeks ago, and people have questions about it. One viewer texted us wanting to know, does Narcan have an expiration date? We went to the FDA's drug database to verify. The short answer is yes, Narcan does have an expiration date. Narcan is a brand of a drug called naloxone hydrochloride. Many companies make naloxone nasal sprays, though Narcan is the only one that will soon be available over the counter. For most naloxone sprays, including brands like Cloxado and generic options, the shelf life is 2 years, but Narcan lasts a lot longer. In 2020, the FDA extended Narcan's shelf life to 3 years, meaning you can carry it for longer without needing a new dose. The company that makes it said yesterday it should be available in stores and online this summer and could cost around $50. At the end of the day, just make sure to check the expiration date. This one right here is expired back in 2021, so it's no good. If you or someone you know is struggling with substance abuse or mental health, call 988 or the helpline on your screen.
Welcome back. If you suffer from joint pain, there are certain foods that could help. It's time for some joint and muscle support, brought to you by Omega XL. Doctors say adding these foods to your diet can help reduce pain. First, omega-3 fatty acids like tuna, salmon, and trout. Next, nuts and seeds. And third, brassica veggies. Those are things like arugula, kale, and broccoli. Omega XL has improved the lives of millions of consumers. Supported by 30 years of clinical research, Omega XL's powerful and proven benefits have transformed the lives of athletes, celebrities, and dedicated daily users. Call 800-813-6801 or visit OmegaXL.com for more information. Does anybody know what a brassica vegetable is?
It's literally all the worst stuff
They said it's related to the mustard seed family.
Yeah, mustard and cabbage. Mustard seed and cabbage.
Get those brassicas in. See ya.